back in. It's actually not back to order because that would then technically mean that there's a bill in front of us, but these are informational hearings. A good senator from South Minneapolis. I just want to make sure that I am not getting corrected. But I want to thank the providers and clients who are here to share their experiences today. We have 15 testifiers who have signed up as of the time that we had said, you know, you have until to sign up. There's additional written testimony in members' packets that should be all in front of you and as posted online as well. Because of the high level of interest of testifying, can we limit for today's hearings? We really want to get to as many people as we can today. And if we're able to accommodate additional testifiers, that's all dependent upon the questions that people ask here. But as of now, we're at our max, so just bear with us on that. So yesterday we focused primarily on the department's decision-making and the internal processes. Today we're going to focus on impact. That's really what we need to know, because if there are some things that need to change, we really want to know what it is. That distinction is intentional. Yesterday we heard about the rationale for the enhanced prepayment reviews, the seriousness of risks, and the steps the department took in response. We also heard acknowledgments, both explicit and implicit, about the challenges related to capacity, communication, timing, and implementation. But today we're really here to understand how those decisions translated into real-world outcomes. And so with that, it's really important. I want to make sure that we're really focusing on, we hear from you about that execution and from the providers and service recipients about what happened when the prepayment reviews were implemented, how those suspensions and delays affected operations in daily life, whether the guidance and expectations were clear and consistent, and what safeguards, if any, protected the continuity of care. Why I keep using continuity of care, because that gets to the why we do what we do. And so with that, I just wanted to make sure that we're focused on that. And if Representative Schumacher has a couple of things to add that I know I forgot. So thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you again for having the series of hearings on this issue. I think that one of the real benefits of having the way you set it up is that we were able to hear from the department yesterday, and now we're able to hear from providers today. Some of what we heard after yesterday's testimony was more of a context than what we had during yesterday's hearing, and so I think this will help us to get a full picture. But for the folks who are providing testimony today, I'm going to have two questions that I'll just ask now, because I think it's to the benefit of the committee that everyone can respond to. We know that payments went out earlier this week, but it's my understanding that in many cases that was a fraction of what was actually expected for those payments. And so, have payments gone out? When are you expecting payments to come out? And to what percentage or what amount did the payments that came in actually coincide with what was expected there? Just to help us get context of what's really going on, that would be helpful. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you on that. And so with that, we have a list of folks, and I would ask that if you could come up in threes, I would appreciate that. I know, Zach, you're all set to go. Zach Johnson, you wanted to talk about integrated community supports. Yes. John Giese and April Coleman, if you could come on down and find a place at the seat as well. I appreciate that. So, Zach, welcome to our committee.
Good to be here. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
My name is Zachary Johnson, and I've been a client with the same service provider, Accessible Space, for going on 23 years under a couple different licenses. And I have kind of a unique perspective, because I kind of see it from both sides, because I've been a client for 23 years, but also a member of the board of directors for 7. So I've seen how this stuff impacts from the confusion and the administrative side too about this implementation stuff, but I want to talk today about what would actually happen to me probably if a place like this were to close. I moved down here when I was 18 years old from the Iron Range, and I went to the University of Minnesota, got a degree in sports management, and now I have 2 jobs with 2 professional sports organizations in town. You'll probably notice my shirt. I'm going to work tonight after I'm done here. And I'm only able to do that because of the unique service model that ICS provides. And if a place like that were to close, everything that I have worked for the last 23 years would go up in smoke, because the reality of it is I would probably have 2 months or so. If you have a compassionate, that's the most they'd probably give you. And you'd have to, in that 2 months, I'd have to contact my case manager, find a provider, and if I was staffing shortages, I'd be lucky to find a provider that could work do the hours I needed, which would probably mean I would lose both of my jobs and then my housing, because this idea that housing and care are separate, on paper, legislatively they are, but in practicality they are not, because if you can't have somebody get you out of bed and get you out to the bathroom, you can't stay in your home. So in that intervening time, I would probably have to go into a group home or some place that I didn't want to be in order to get my minimum safety needs met. And I heard the term safety here a lot yesterday about moving people into the safest place possible if a place were to close. But hey, I didn't hear much about how about it's a situation where I want to live. Okay, I'm safe, but I've lost everything that I've worked for. So, at the end of the day, does the safety really matter that much? I mean, it does, but we're talking about when we're talking about safety, we're talking about bare minimums here. You know, it's like, and neither side of the aisle seems to want to come up with solutions for this stuff.
That's why you're here, Zach.
And
Help us find those solutions.
And I'm willing to talk to anybody on either side of this Capitol, but we have to quit throwing food at each other and start actually fixing this, because if there's anybody that wants a system that works for both the taxpayer and me, it's me, because I'm gonna have to deal with whatever comes out of here.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Thank you very much. I'm glad you could join us with that. Anybody have any questions for Zach? Senator Zainab.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Zach, for coming. I had like a 15-minute meeting before this committee with Zach, Mr. Chair, and I just wanted to share how profound his story is, because what we are hearing from individuals like him are that when it comes to the systems we're putting in place from the agency, we have a plan for prepayment review processes, we have a plan for payment pauses, we have payment for when our systems are failing, but we do not have a plan to care for people. And he's an independent person who works 2 jobs. He'll go to work right after this at Target Center, will be done tonight at midnight, and tomorrow morning he'll go to work. And his provider decides they will no longer be serving him. What is the plan for the agency is sort of his question, which I think is an honest question to have. For you, Zach, have you had to go through a situation where you had to switch providers, and how were you able to get through that, and was the agency helpful in that process?
Zach.
The answer
Mr.
is
Johnson.
yes, I had to, but not for this reason. It was because after COVID, the place that I lived at in Bloomington, they just couldn't find any staff, so they had to end the survey. And luckily, ASI was as helpful as they could in that process. But what ended up happening was my 70-year-old mother had to come down from Coleraine, because I grew up on the Iron Range, to come and take care of me for a week until I could find a place that would serve me the way I needed. And we did it, but it just about ended both of us, because she hadn't helped me for 23 years. So, no, DHS didn't do anything. I had to do all that. So it's like I said, a lot of this stuff is on paper, but practically it's not being and you got to remember, a lot of these case managers are entry-level people just out of college, and I know more about the service options than they do.
Right.
So they're usually asking me questions.
Interesting that Zach just brought that up, Senator, that the whole thing about we've in this committee have talked about the case manager, county case manager, whose responsibility, whose role is it. I believe there's 2 on this side of the table that have 3, that have 4, that have actually talked about, well, what does that look like, and where's the disconnect there? And after yesterday's conversation, it ends up coming back, and I think you'll see tonight there's going to be on CARE 11, AJ Legault is going to be doing a little thing on ICS supports, and And part of the deeper question there gets to that county case level manager, and which the other thing, we need to then have that conversation, which we've had for a long time on that. So, Mr. Johnson, thank you very much for being here with us. And so I know I had John, it's Jonah Giese?
Yes.
Did I get that right? Kathy Messerly, do you want to come on down to the table too? And then Jamie Kumar, can you come down to the table as well? We're going to go Jonah, and then we'll go to April, who's in the internet's land. So, Mr. Giese.
Senator Hoffman, Ranking Member Rasmussen, and members of the committee. My name is Jonah Giese. I'm a legal advocate at the Minnesota Disability Law Center. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today. Over the past 6 months, DHS has acted decisively to address alleged fraud in our disability service system. Yet, with every attempt to address alleged fraud, the state of Minnesota has failed to support the real victims of this crisis. The people with disabilities whose service needs are not being met. When housing stabilization services was cut with no meaningful alternative, thousands of vulnerable Minnesotans lost a crucial resource to find and maintain stable community integrated housing. When payments to ICS services were frozen, hundreds, if not thousands, of people with disabilities were evicted from their community integrated apartments. Now, as DHS rolls out AI-trained prepayment reviews, we fear that these interventions will continue at the expense of people with disabilities. I'm going to say that again. These interventions will continue to be at the expense of people with disabilities. As a legal advocate at the Minnesota Disability Law Center, I'm asked to pick up the pieces of this crisis. Over the past months alone, I've supported over 30 clients facing service termination from their community integrated ICS settings. These people are ending up on the streets. The vast majority of my clients have ended up in emergency rooms, again, emergency rooms, homeless shelters, or their parents' basement, or other segregated settings. We are eroding the promise of Olmsted and deinstitutionalization in real time. We do not have to continue on this path. I live in South Minneapolis. My community and the entire state of Minnesota is in the spotlight right now for all the wrong reasons. But in that spotlight, we Minnesotans have shown the world who we are. We stand up for our neighbors. We pick each other up when someone falls to the ground. We show up day after day to ensure that our children are fed and our most vulnerable are cared for. To meet this moment and to address these cascading crises of disability services, Minnesota must remember what makes us truly great. We care for people. In the face of these existential crises, we must not give in to the calls to cut services. Now, more than ever, we must not abandon our most vulnerable. The state of Minnesota and the Department of Human Services must use this juncture as an opportunity for course correction, not destruction. We have the opportunity to fortify these systems and build systems that prioritize the needs of people with disabilities, not the incentive structures that encourage bad actors. We must protect Medicaid and build a Medicaid system that incentivizes care, not profit-seeking. And we must take steps to ensure that no one loses their housing during this crisis. We can address fraud, we must address fraud, but as we do so, we must not lose sight of what it means to be a Minnesotan. We care about people. And let us do that with people with disabilities, like Zach, like everyone else who will testify here, leading the way. Nothing about us without us. Thank you.
Love that statement. 2 minutes, 15 seconds. I'm proud of you, Jonah. I do, as I was sitting there looking at the time, you're absolutely spot on. Senator Fata has a question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know there's a time constraint, so I'll try to be brief, but thank you so much for your testimony. In your testimony, you said that hundreds, if not thousands, of folks receiving services in ICS were displaced. I think yesterday, DHS testified that there were 179 instances of that. Does that seem inaccurate to you?
Mr. Giese?
Is that particular to ICS units
If I
that have
remember
had their
correctly.
payments frozen?
Yeah, correct.
I would say that's likely correct, related to those 14 or so providers that have had their payments frozen. But I would highlight the fact that those 14 providers are not the only ones who are terminating services for people because of changes the legislature have made. There are a whole swath of other people that are coming to the Minnesota Disability Law Center because they only have 2 months left, because they want someone to appeal. And if we don't, they end up on the streets. So to answer your question, yes, that's likely correct, but I think it might be missing the larger flow of people who are losing their housing as a result of these service crises.
Senator Fata.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The fact is you yourself had 30, did I get that right? 30 clients that were,
That's correct, Your Honor. As a legal advocate, I represent
he just
people.
called me Your Honor. Do I look like a judge to you? I love that. I've been called many things, but not that. So that's pretty good.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's Senator Abler.
Your Honor. Actually, just Mr. Giese commented it was legislative changes. These are actually administrative changes done extra legislatively without any input from us. Thank you.
So wait.
Chair, may I respond?
Just, no, I don't.
I'm not critical. I'm just making sure that you
No,
understand.
what he just said sparked something in me, and I guess that's a good, these were administrative changes. Say that again, Senator.
Well, all this withholding, delay, Optum, they had authority given to them in the health bill, but implementation, development, all that was done not with us. They did it all on their own, actually without, I think, hardly any public input, providers, clients, legislators. And that's the issue. And we support, proper payments.
Correct.
Anyway, so I just wanted to,
No. I
thank you. I wasn't even going to talk today, so thanks.
well, it's too late. You did, because but to that point, and you said, not without us, right? Nothing should happen without us. In the case of, in the past, this committee would have been informed of decisions that were being made. This committee would have been actively either, do we need to call a hearing, do we not call a hearing? And it's part of the frustration that I saw over 7 months is I just kept hearing that nobody knew what was going on. All of a sudden a decision was made. And then it's like, okay, what's the real impact? And you now just said, Jonah, and why I came back to you hyperfixed on 30 clients, just you alone, right? And the story you're going to see tonight, it breaks my heart that a woman was evicted from her apartment, not to her knowledge, but the fact is because of the provider was scamming the system, but not one person, and don't cut me off on this microphone, people, I heard my voice modulate down, not one person on the county level came in and intervened on behalf of this individual, right? And you guys, I know the work that you do, and thank God, I'm glad you're here. Please stick around, Jonah, because I think you're going to be needed and as we have this conversation, keep it on going. So, Senator Mohammed.
Mr. Chair, although I agree with a lot of things that Senator Abler often say, I also just want to make it clear that we are in a political moment, and part of the reason why we're having these conversations and why some of these decisions have been made has been because of the political impact and the decisions made by members of this body and the ways in which we talk about fraud. And I think there has been some terrible reaction on the administration side, but as a body, we don't get to implement programs. So if the agency wants to decide how they want to implement it, it's up to them. Our job is to tell the stories of patients and the providers, but there's enough blame to go around on the administration, on the agency, on members, and how we talk about issues. I want to make that clear as well.
Thank you, Senator. Again, stick around. We're going to go to April Coleman on the, are you there?
Yes, hello. I'm
Thank-
April Coleman. I've been executive director with an adult day provider that's been in business for 45 years. We currently serve 107 clients on a regular basis. And given the demand and interest in Bemidji, we've expanded to Hubbard and Cass counties with hopes to provide care for Wadena County residents. We've heard from others who are in the process of adult day licenses. They have submitted their application to DHS, and one has had to sign a multi-year lease. All have potential clients waiting for care. We appreciate that you have noticed a rapid increase in adult day capacity in the metro. There are only 29 of 182 licensed programs in all of Greater Minnesota. Please consider fairness in this process. There should be exceptions to a license freeze where there is need. Whether the adult day is already established with Medicaid or intends to serve private pay and long-term care insurance only. Beyond the license freeze is the payment pause concern. We do absolutely support the reasonable steps to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. As a provider, I am entrusted with the care of seniors in our programs. This includes ethical and honest use of resources. We have a reputation that exceeds expectations of care in one of the lower income counties in our state. Current law already requires us to cover expenses before the submission of claims. We're worried about further delays as we've already incurred costs prior to contracted commitments. Adult day serves numerous couples. Recently, a caregiver requested an increase in days due to her husband's dementia and increased fall risk at home. Adult day enables couples to continue living safely together. One former caregiver shared that adult day played a critical role in her life as it facilitated timely cancer diagnosis and treatment. You realize the significance when you must use this service. I'm here today to implore you that you preserve this affordable and essential option for Minnesota seniors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for your testimony. One question in the testimony that you offered, you said that there were 29 out of 182 licenses right now that are in Greater Minnesota versus the Metro. Did I get that down right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I think that's a poignant piece of the discussion as well that we aren't going to have time in this hearing to do, but I know will be something that we follow up with, especially with the moratorium exception process, and if there's going to be a moratorium exception process, how that looks, because that seems like it has a greater impact on Greater Minnesota if we are freezing those over the next bit of time. Any other questions for the testifier? Okay, Ms. Coleman, thank you for your testimony today. Next, we have Kathy Meserly, and then we'll have Jamie Coomer and Sarah Grafstrom. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and present your testimony.
Thank you very much. Chair and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Kathy Meserly, and I'm the Executive Director for the Minnesota Home Care Association. I'd like to begin by thanking Senator Huffman, Chairs Schumacher and Knorr for your continued concern for Minnesotans who access home care services and for the providers that provide these services. This committee has maintained a strong and consistent focus on Minnesotans who rely on services, and MHCA greatly appreciates that leadership. When DHS rolled out the prepayment review process in late December, providers experienced significant challenges. As with any major system change, important lessons were learned. Most notably, the need for closer partnership and clearer, more consistent communication between the state and providers. MHCA stands firmly behind efforts to detect and eliminate fraud within the Medicaid system. Program integrity is essential. At the same time, access to needed and legitimate services must be protected. Legitimate providers must receive timely funding so that clients can continue to receive the care they desperately need. Minnesota already has some strong integrity measures in place, and we can and should continue to pursue bad actors. However, the unrealistic expectations and timelines imposed by the federal government are now impacting access to care here in Minnesota. The urgency of the prepayment reviews resulted in high-quality and compliant agencies going weeks without funding, leaving them unable to meet payroll. For some, that meant closing the doors entirely. As just one example, an agency serving approximately 400 people in Duluth closed as a direct result. While provider revalidation may be appropriate, as was mentioned yesterday, conducting these reviews within compressed, federally mandated timelines adds significant administrative burden and further limits providers' ability to be in the community serving clients. Our focus must remain on the critical two-part goal of preserving clients' access to needed services and detecting and eliminating fraud. To that end, MHCA has asked DHS to form a standing stakeholder group that meets regularly to review processes, improve communication, and address operational challenges before they result in disruptions to needed and legitimate care. We are currently in the process of establishing that. I might just add a comment about the lead agencies that was brought up earlier. I think you all know that that system is overwhelmed, and it has indeed led to home care providers not getting responses from the lead agencies when they have concerns about clients' care or lack thereof. MHCA has stood ready and will continue to stand ready to partner with DHS, the legislature, and all stakeholders to ensure both program integrity and stable access to home care services. Thank you for your time and attention. And I might add, since you weren't here, welcome back, Senator Huffman. As a constituent, it's a day of gratefulness.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate your kind words, and it's good to see you as well. Jamie Coomer, you're here, and then we're going to get Sarah Grafstrom. You want to come up to the table as well? Are there any questions though before we get started on Jamie for Kathy Messerly? Anybody? Thank you. God, that was going to be. And I see Chair Noor has graced our presence. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you. The honorable. You missed out on that. That was so. Go ahead, Jamie. Thank you.
Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jamie Coomer. I am an owner of a Minnesota Home Care Agency, a CFSS agency, and a member of Minnesota Home Care Association. I'm here today to share how the prepayment review process has impacted legitimate providers like myself. As a result of the prepayment review, we went an additional 14 days without reimbursement for services that were already delivered and approved. To provide perspective, on December 19th, we submitted billing for dates of service from November 30th to December 13th. Money was not in our bank account until start of business day, January 14th. This puts us on CMS-approved 30-day waiting period to be paid for services provided, which, per temporary Commissioner Gandhi's statement yesterday, will now be the standard operating procedure. During that time, we were forced to lean on our home care agency dollars to make payroll and continue serving our clients. Home care and CFSS agencies operate on very thin margins, and extended delays in payments create immediate financial distress and challenges in making payroll for our caregiving staff, as highlighted yesterday by Senator Abler. To answer Representative Schumacher's, our current state is we are 100% paid as expected. It's just the 30-day delay. We typically operate with a cash flow of 3 payroll cycles on hand. Beyond that, we'd have to rely on our line of credit. But I do know of other agencies who were unable to make their payroll as soon as January 2nd. I also know other providers who have been forced to close entirely. I don't want to think about that path, but with that looming threat with this prepayment review process just in the infancy stage, as it evolves with unknown data review increasing, there is no certainty of income for services provided. When providers are forced to close, clients are the ones that lose access to essential care, and the community loses trusted services that keep people safe and healthy at home. My agency is a high-quality, compliant provider. My most recent comprehensive license survey resulted in 0 tags, My CFSS on-site visit in December passed without issue, and my December electronic visit verification report reflects 99.73% compliance. Agencies like mine are doing things the right way. Without stable cash flow, even excellent providers cannot survive. If home care services disappear, clients are pushed towards hospitalizations or inpatient settings, which cost the state and federal government significantly more and expose clients to higher health risks than receiving care at home. We have a client that we see 5 days a week for specialized wraps. This has kept the client out of the hospital. Prior to that, our client was hospitalized several times throughout the year, and it was weeks that they were in the hospital. The continuity of care is essential. We want fraudsters rooted out. The recklessness harms the entire system and damages the reputation of compliant providers. Unfortunately, the prepayment review process, while required, has resulted in severe cash flow disruptions for legitimate providers, many of whom are already operating at minimal margins. I am also aware that negative public messaging and Medicaid instability has caused banks to deny or restrict lines of credit to providers. I don't know how much deeper into debt I can afford to go simply to continue caring for our clients in the community. So I asked the committee, what options exist for legitimate compliant providers who are caught in the prolonged payment delays? How can the state collaborate with providers to stabilize access to home care services? What actions can be taken to restore lender confidence so providers can access short-term financing? Our clients matter. Their ability to stay in their home matters. As a provider, I am ready and willing to collaborate on solutions that protect program integrity without sacrificing access to care. Thank you for your time and consideration today.
Thank you, Ms. Coomer. Senator Etke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a question about the operation that you have, just to get a little more clarification on these payments. If you, let's say the first 2 weeks, and I don't know how you bill, but is it typically in like 2 weeks? So if you ran the first 2 weeks of January and then you turned in your paperwork or sent in your reports, whatever, from the time, from those hours worked or days worked to when you would get, you would have been paid in the past, how long was that delay? And then as you currently see the new one, whatever that delay was, they're adding 2 weeks additional to it. Is that correct?
Jamie. Ms.
Thank you.
Coomer, yes.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, so our pay date is on a Friday, so we would have had our payroll on January 2nd, and we would have been paid the following Wednesday for those pay periods, the 11/30 through 12/13. So we pay out on Friday, we receive the money from DHS on Wednesday. Now, we pay, our payroll's that Friday, we won't get paid for 2 additional weeks beyond that Wednesday. So looking at that calendar, it would be the 21st instead of the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's what I was after, is just how quickly it turned around prior to this versus now. So it was, but that's perfect.
Prior
Thank
to
you.
that, yeah, 3 business days, now it's the.
Yeah, and I think Representative Schumacher brought that up too yesterday, right? And that same, so thank you. That caused quite a stress in our system. So we're going to go to Senator Fata and then Senator Abler. Unless, Paul, are you done?
Yeah, only thing is you were just saying that, I was going to say it caused the stress, especially because they didn't know it was coming.
Correct.
If
Yes.
with a heads up, we can all plan, even though we don't like it, but we can make plans, but they didn't have that chance.
No, I thank you for that clarification on that. Senator Fata and then Senator Abler.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for your testimony. I just want to dispel some myths that we've seen on social media, for example. Can you speak to, say for a medium-sized home care business, what the profit margins actually are when you take into account the salaries, overhead, and all that, how thin the profit margins really are?
Kathy or Sarah, or do you know that one, Ms. Coomer? But I know you got an arm person and you got a home. Yeah. Ms. Messerly, do you guys want to, did you know
Chair,
off the hand? Go ahead.
I don't know, Chair and Senator Fate. It varies by the agency significantly.
Okay.
So I've got some agencies who are currently saying we're 1 payroll out from closing the doors, and others are saying we've tried to be 3 payrolls ahead, but it's shrinking. So it really depends on, and then we've got some that have deep pockets because they have national investors.
Sarah Grassman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Hoffman, Senator Fate. I was going to echo a lot what Kathy said. It really depends on agency size, I would say. I mean, obviously, the delay hits the smaller providers that don't have the additional funds built up a lot harder than the larger providers that might have the ability to weather a 30, 60-day delay.
To your point, Senator Fatsa, there's a person her name is Anna, all right? She was a provider in Duluth, 30 years playing by the rules, a compliant provider, but operating on razor thin because of her mission to the community of Duluth, right? Almost 500 clients. Jamie will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but she shut her doors on the 15th because she couldn't get access to any funding in order to make the payroll because, to the points of the senators, Utke and Senator Abler, that there was no notice, there was not ample notice to that, right? And so she was on razor thin margin all the time. But 30 years in operation in Duluth, although it's not considered the Iron Range, but it's pretty close. I was trying to bring brevity, but forget it. But that's sad. When I heard that Anna was actually going to have to shut her doors because she couldn't get access to funding, that was your razor thin thing, right? And I think we're seeing more of that system-wide, and it varies person to person on that. Any follow-up at all? We're good? Senator Abler.
Well, and thanks, and I want to thank my good seatmate to my right here, although that's her political position too. Some of my people think that. Anyways, so I think it's not my intention to try to bring any politics into this discussion. This is purely a thing that happened, and I don't ascribe any ill intent, but it appears there's a fair amount of collateral damage. And I didn't have an up-to-date story quite like you for the place. I know there's one place that's probably going to close because they can't bear the 2 weeks, and they've been open a long time, 25 years, serving 200 kids. And so I don't know when the governor's budget is going to come out, but I mean, if there's a committee in the legislature that's going to tackle it, it's going to be this one. And I want to thank all the department staff for being up there, Commissioner et al., listening carefully. But I think it's, if you didn't know, I mean, something happens like, oh, we didn't know that, we weren't planning on all these things happening. I think it's just on them to figure out how many people are affected by this and what remedy makes sense to preserve the people that are serving, that they had no intent to put into harm's way. And that's as nice as I can say it. But we just can't, there's not enough people that do only Medicaid in the home care side. I have a local home care company. I say, oh, how's that working in Medicaid? Oh, we just don't do it. And so, we've said over and over, Mr. Chair, you have an insurance card, and but it doesn't work anywhere. You don't have insurance. You don't have care, and the people that we're charged to serve are 1.5 million people overall, and probably 300,000-400,000 people that are extremely dependent on what we do here. So that's meant to be kind of just a thought to pursue. And as they talk about targets and all that, there were some savings to be had. So, Mr. Chair, we've never lost savings in this committee before, but this is a time maybe we have. So this is maybe a time that 2 weeks is sitting out there in a cash flow bin somewhere. It will cross the biennium. It's going to be money. So just a thought. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Abler. We're going to go to Chair New, but before that, it's Anna Madsen, Heartland PCA. There was over 500 clients. She had over 50 staff based in Hermantown, so I was correct. She's not part of the Iron Range. But she tried, get this, Kathy, she tried to get a second mortgage on her own house to make payroll. 30 years in business, compliant, an absolute mission and vision for the community up there, and now she's no longer there. And what happened to the 500 clients? I don't know. Can anybody else tell us that? I don't know. You could probably tell me that, but it's not worth I just wanted to make sure that the world knows that, her name was Anna Madsen, Heartland PCA, 500 clients, 50 staff, done. Isn't that sad? Representative Chair Newer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was looking at the numbers and I heard from Senator Abler saying that there'll be savings. And looking at the numbers, the assumption is that the payroll will be paid within the specific fiscal year. We'll talk more about that in details in a different setting. My key question is, what percentage of the home care is provided through MCOs?
I don't know, Kathy, Sarah, Jamie?
Chair and Representative Noor, I do not have those numbers. We could certainly look at it.
Chair Noor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the question is because I assume for some agencies it's about 80%. So the prepayment review is impacting almost 20 for some providers. And one of the challenges that we have foreseen is, for example, because of the receivership of UCare. I know I haven't had that discussion, which we're going to be having some discussion. How is that impacting the overall because of the delayed payment of up to 12 to 18 months due to the receivership? Did this add additional challenge, and how are we going to be able to move forward?
Kathy?
Chair, Representative Noor, that added a significant challenge. We have had a significant impact on our providers. We had the closure of UCare, we had the prepayment review, and we had ICE show up in town all at the same time. Many of our providers have a large majority of their clients on UCare because that was the Medicaid insurance in Minnesota. And the last 2 weeks of December have not been paid. We do not know if, when, or how much they will get back from that. That is going to be up to the rehabilitator to determine how much can be paid back. Jamie here has decided to write it off just for now, but there are other agencies that desperately need those funds. So that was compounded by the delay in funding from the prepayment review. And that's part of the reason we had agencies that were not able to make payroll.
Representative Noor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In just a normal process, what is the timeline for MCOs to reimburse agencies?
Kathy? Ms. Messerly?
Chair, Representative Noor, it varies. I can tell you that Medica is 40 days. So now when they're providing services to the UCare that have now been acquired by Medica, in January, they have to wait 40 days to get that funding. So again, it's a huge gap for cash flow.
Representative Noor?
So in that instance, because it's beyond the 30 days, do they add additional fees on top of that process?
Ms. Messerly?
Chair, Representative Noor, I do not believe we require that. I've always wished that we had better controls from the state, and I don't know if it's possible to put that in place.
Representative Noor, you bring up a good point. The other one is some of the providers that are seeing a delay 45, 90, 120 days out because there's a gap between county payment system and the Department of Human Services payment system. And so it's like, it seems to be a structured piece. We're going to keep moving along. Sarah, if you want, Sarah Grasstrom from the State Director of State and Federal Policy Association of Residential Resources in Minnesota. Heather Wright, you're on Zuma land. Susan Rossetti, is it Rosette? Come on down to the table. And then Starlisha Doby, you want to make your way down here too at the table? You should have room. So Ms. Grafstrom.
Thank you.
And I'm sitting there looking at the time going, I don't know how I'm going to get done on time.
I'll talk fast. Thank you, Chair Hoffman and members of the Senate and House Human Services Committee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify today. My name is Sarah Grafstrom, and I serve as a Senior Director of State and Federal Policy for ARM. ARM has represented disability waiver service providers in the state for over 50 years, and our members support Minnesotans every single day with disabilities. Let me be very clear at the outset. ARM supports the legislature, the administration, and the Department of Human Services in their work in combating fraud. Fraud hurts taxpayers, undermines public trust, and most importantly, harms the Minnesotans with disabilities these programs are meant to support. Criminals who engage in fraud should be held accountable. We're grateful for the attention of this committee today on one of the measures put in place to combat fraud, prepayment review, and how the process was implemented and rolled out. ARM supports the goals of prepayment review. It plays a critical role in ensuring claims paid are legitimate. However, the lack of communication and partnership with providers and their associations before the process launched at the end of December put legitimate providers at serious risk of closure, as you've been hearing today. Communication to the provider community lacked clear timelines, failed to define expectations and processes, and did not include any kind of advanced consultation with key community partners to help ensure a smooth rollout. The impact of this communication failure has been immediate. Many providers across Minnesota have been able to been unable to make payroll, some for multiple cycles. Staff have left, not because they don't care about the people they support, but because they have rent, groceries, and families of their own. When staff leave, services are disrupted, resulting in individuals with disabilities ending up in crisis and possibly in emergency rooms or hospital beds. As we move forward, the confusion and disruption of the last month cannot happen again. ARM and our members want to work with the legislature, the administration, and the department. Looking ahead, we're asking for transparent, timely, and meaningful dialogue about policies that directly impact the sustainability of the disability services system before they are enacted. Communication cannot be an afterthought, and partnership cannot happen after harm has already occurred. Most importantly, any additional measures considered and implemented must be taken with a scalpel, not a hammer approach that puts legitimate providers at risk. We remain ready today to collaborate on solutions that protect program integrity without dismantling the disability services infrastructure Minnesota has spent decades building. Thank you, Chair Hoffman and members for the time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Grafstrom, for being here. No member questions. We can move on to the next person, which is Heather Wright. You're on Zoom land, Chief Executive Officer at North Star Community Services. Welcome to the committee, Heather.
Members of the committee, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Members of the committee, thank you for your opportunity to testify today. My name is Heather Wright, and I am the owner of North Star Community Services. We serve approximately 200 individuals across rural Pine, Aiken, Carlton, and St. Louis counties, specializing in care for those often declined by other agencies due to high behavioral needs. We also employ over 200 staff members who rely on us for stable livelihoods. Despite our perfect record regarding licensing and compliance, recent actions by the Department of Human Services have placed our agency and our clients at significant risk. While I support the efforts to prevent fraud, an unexpected withholding of $600,000 in payments in a 4-week period of time has been catastrophic. During this time, we were still required to pay an $18,000 licensing fee to the Department of Human Services to remain operational, despite having no incoming revenue. This financial instability forced us to miss a $300,000 payroll, leading to the loss of 30 employees and leaving our vulnerable clients at risk for hospitalization. Additionally, 2 of the largest agencies within our rural communities announced that they were closing their doors within days, leaving over 400 people without services. I will add, I'm neighbors to the provider that you've been discussing. The primary issue at hand is a critical lack of communication. Had these new pre-screening processes been clearly explained in October, we could have secured a line of credit or adjusted our operations. Instead, the lack of notice has caused a loss of trust and a workforce exodus that undermines years of state investments to the industry. Many employees left to go work at local gas stations and retail stores seeking more stability. The foundation of effective relationships is trust and communication. The number of providers that have been lost due to the withheld payments, implemented moratoriums, and lack of support is an emergency in Minnesota. Providers that remain are already carrying unimaginable workloads to meet the needs of all of those in our community, licensing requirements, and sustaining our workforce. Developing systems, processes, and communication action plans to support the remaining providers will be crucial. I'm asking for honest, transparent, and effective communication from our licensing body moving forward. We need a commitment to stability so providers like North Star can continue to focus on our primary goal, the safety and well-being of the individuals that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather Wright. And this is the stuff that I knew was going to happen today, and I'm not doing okay with that. Susan Rosette.
Just like the cookies, Rosette.
I want to, come on. David Tomasoni from the Iron Range. I mean, that is a Rossetti. That should be, all right. Susan Rosette, you're close. You're from Duluth, aren't you?
Two Harbors.
Two Harbors? I'm sorry. North Shore is even a better, there you go. Welcome. Thanks for driving all the way down, by the way. And as Susan is getting ready to talk, Starlisha, you're next. And then Matthew Gustafson, we want you to work your way up to the table too. So Susan, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Hoffman and members of the committee, thank you for your time. I'm very grateful to be here. My name is Susan Rosette. I am the CEO and founder of Cardinal Comfort Care Cooperative, based in Two Harbors, Minnesota. We have 15 owner workers and 28 employees, and serve people from ages 100 to 10 years old. The notice to providers on October 29, 2025, that described a prepayment review came with no other notice of direction or expectation for providers to navigate other than that they were going to hold remit funds for up to 90 days now. Providers like us were thrown into a big barrel of uncertainty, miscommunication, and total fear. Getting paid timely is a critical piece to serving the community. The recent policies have created a vacuum of unknowns, instability, and crisis that did not need to happen. The notices did not give time to prepare for the loss of funds to cover payroll. That is where most of our money goes in this field, is to the workers, training, administrators that run these programs, often with no benefits or wages to match the work that they do. We knew we would have to notify our employees and families of the people we serve to prepare for what was a vague explanation of why this was happening to us. At first, we were hopeful that this would only be a temporary move. Instead, we were hit with a notice of continuing remit delays as DHS and Optum decided who was good to get paid and who was not. We sat with no operating funds, no money for payrolls for weeks, and no end in sight. I personally have taken loans myself to keep us afloat. We are in deeply rural Minnesota. The actions of DHS have created unstable working conditions and environments for the people that we serve. Employees feel the stress of the remit delays with the loss of paychecks. People we serve feel anxiety and emptiness in their lives with no workers. We are transparent with our workers. We gave them the same notice we received. We communicated with them. We gave them a heads up, and they had a choice to stay and work without pay or go find other jobs. Many went to find stable jobs. This is really hard to do, and it breaks my heart for all of us. These people did nothing wrong. We've had to triage the people we serve. The workers willing to stay and care for them are the only reason we're still operating. They're working without pay. We have retained 28 employees of the 41 that we had. These are amazing people that are working for us. They don't deserve this. Sorry, Chair.
Don't be sorry, Susan. Thank you. This is what the reality is that you're showing and telling us about. These are human beings.
Yep.
Treat people like people.
Yep.
What happened to that? What happened to the fact that this is not just a blip on some freaking computer screen or a spreadsheet? Acknowledge that there are some systemic issues. You're now telling us the reality that we didn't hear yesterday. And this is exactly why we held a 2-day hearing on that. And I'm sorry, Sven, if this is going to go over 3:30, but I have a feeling this is going to go longer than 3:30. So if there's a problem with that, then we'll move another hearing to February, whatever, a couple of days. But don't ever apologize for being real and authentic about who you are and what you care about, because this committee for history has always said, what's the real impact? And you are telling us what the real impact is.
Thank you, Chair. These events have taken a huge toll on the person served and staff morale that will not be returned with a paycheck. This has been a detrimental blow to the workforce that was already struggling with trying to retain and recruit workers in this low wage with no benefit job. Our workers are amazing. They have a huge responsibility to take care of people who are vulnerable. Drivers get people to medical appointments every day, and many are on dialysis, a life-saving treatment, and if they don't get to their appointments, they will die within days. This is how critical our work is. Last week, we had to notify our non-emergency medical transportation drivers that they too would have to go without pay until we get paid. They stood up. They're driving people without pay. Our rural community services have been part of our expanding work to serve deeply underserved people in rural Minnesota. Providers do this work to serve and to care for the communities. Please help us all. Pay us timely for the work that we do, support us in getting our workers back, and care for the people that are the whole reason why we do all these programs. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do, Susan. Thank you. Senator Atke.
Mr.
I know.
Chair, I'm just going to say this.
You and I are slowing this process down.
This could have been helped with 2 words, communication and transparency. They got blindsided, and it's not fair.
Thank you for that. You're right. Thank you, Susan. Starlisha Adobe, home care worker, SEIU Healthcare, Minnesota and Iowa. Nice to see you again. Welcome back to our committee.
Hi, thank you, Chair Hoffman and members of the committee. Also nice to see you again, Senator Hoffman. My name is Starlisha Adobe, and my family resides in St. Paul. I am a home care worker, and I am testifying today on behalf of my union, SEIU Healthcare, Minnesota and Iowa. Our union represents over 55,000 workers who provide care in hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and self-directed home care programs. Currently, I am employed full-time as my son's William's caregiver. William is 23 years old and was diagnosed with autism and cognitive delays at the age of 3. He is nonverbal and requires continuous support. William requires assistance with bathroom use, grooming, bathing, dressing, and eating. As a parent with a child that has special needs, it has been extremely difficult to come to the realization that your child will not be able to live independently, generate their own income, have a family, and aspire to be a productive citizen. To simply live what we might call a normal life. In addition, it is so frustrating to have a government that has historically structured its policies based on what the government deems to be important for the people, instead of making policy based on what is important to the people that it impacts. Our union specifically represents over 10,000 workers in PCA Choice and CFSS. The implementation of prepayment review has brought about considerable confusion and fear among workers and clients. Thankfully, only a small number of workers have experienced delayed pay so far, and only one fiscal intermediary, as mentioned before, Heartland in northern Minnesota, has ceased operations, unfortunately. Some workers and clients appear to be shifting towards intermediaries with more ability to weather the storm thus far. I acknowledge the aim of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services and our elected leaders is to prevent fraud. Transparency, accountability, and reform are critical, particularly given that some providers in Minnesota have misused programs. However, I struggle to understand the rationale behind federal threats to withhold or disallow billions of dollars from low-income families, children, seniors, and people with disabilities. Withholding $515 million per quarter from Medicaid programs has the potential to trigger a healthcare crisis affecting all Minnesotans and systems that support children, people with disabilities, and the elderly. Our union wants these programs to function effectively and shares many frustrations and providers as our members' livelihoods depend on provider reimbursement. For those who believe the Department of Human Services should have proceeded with more slowly or chosen a different path, a critical question remains. Would it have been more or less likely for the Trump administration to impose harsh and unmanageable restrictions on Minnesota? While prepayment review is disruptive, it is a direct response to severe and punitive threats from federal government. As Chair Hoffman emphasized in his email to Director Connolly on December 31st of 2025, it is essential for Minnesota to ensure that high-need populations will not lose services due to a provider being forced to scale back or shut down. Unfortunately, Minnesota's current system cannot guarantee this, even under the best circumstances. Reliance on outsourced private third-party providers limits the state's ability and authority to guarantee service delivery. As we consider long-term solutions and system reform, it is important to explore the potential for public entities to play a larger role in delivering human services. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Starlee Shadobi. Thank you. Matthew Gustafson, you're next, and then Andrew Mintz-Peller, if you want to work your way down, and then Charlotte Kirst. Did I say that right? So, Matthew, thank you. Welcome to the committee.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Hi, my name is Matthew Gustafson. I'm a person with disabilities, mental and physical. I live in an ICS, Hillside, North St. Paul, run by MetroCare. ICS services are essential, and they help adults like me with disabilities live safely, independently, and with dignity in a community-based setting. We depend on the services, the activities, and the sense of community. They help us with one-on-one counseling, cooking, appointments, transportation, developing social skills, helping us with paperwork, contacting doctors and nurses as needed, getting us our medications, keeping us accountable for working towards goals, and providing support to us to keep us out of the hospital, and most importantly, offering a place to live. Metro has done an exceptional job at doing this. A lot of these might be routine for normal people, but for people like us, it can be hard, especially some days. Since payments were paused, the company has had to scale back operations. It has affected my mental health and well-being. It's been a lot more hard and difficult to navigate because they've had to scale back the operations with staffing and so forth. And I kind of had a breakdown one night, and there was no one at the facility to help me. Luckily, one of the staff members picked up the phone and talked to me for 10 minutes and probably kept me out of the hospital. This is the type of thing that the exact example of what I'm talking about, because the staff know us as individuals and what we need. And regularly, if I were at my own apartment, which I used to live at, I would call 911 and I would have the ambulance come out, and they probably came out 50 times in 1 year. They know me by name, and I went to every hospital, and I always thought it was health-related, but, you know, a lot of the times I just needed to talk to somebody. What it really comes down to is we absolutely need these services and provided and need this place to live. Removing this foundation doesn't just disrupt our lives, it puts them in danger. It takes months to years to find placements. It's such a great place that I'm living at right now. I don't think I could replicate it. I don't think anyone here wants to make anyone homeless or go without the help they need. So please just don't take away my place that I live at. And I'm sorry. This is just a lot for me. Finding somewhere else is not realistic, and fighting fraud is one thing, but targeting legitimate businesses that do great work is another. So that's all I have to say. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Gustafson. Don't ever apologize. Thank you, Representative Schumacher. Andrew Mintz-Peller, welcome. Charlotte Kirch, are you on your way down here? And then Bonnie Hill. And then following those individuals, Julius Cochran and Chanel Sell. And then we end with Josh Berg, if we have time. We're out of time. Josh. Sorry, Josh. You're not welcome to this meeting either, Josh. So, Andrew Mintz-Peller, welcome to the committee.
Hi, dear Mr. Chairman, my name is Andrew Mintz-Peller. I lived at Metro Care Company for the last 7 years after my uncle died of a heart attack. I enjoy living at Metro Care because I'm not just someone with a disability. They don't treat me like I have one. It's important to have staff on site because there's someone to always talk to. So, since I have no staff outside, they will take us in, Metro Care staff take us into the community and refill our meds, and we consider them part of our family. They allow me to have Sam, who is my ESA, and within the last months, my parents and Sam has helped me out with my anxiety and has given me extra attention. So, I love Metro Care. I love Metro Care. They help me, and I love living there. I love living at Metro Care. And with the staff not there, it's hard. There's no one to talk to. When you need someone to talk to, there's no one there. So please don't take away my home, because finding another one would be super hard. And because of Metro Care's company and thanks to the staff, I am able to complete my second semester in college. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for being here, Andrew. Charlotte Kirch.
Yes.
Welcome to the committee, Charlotte.
Thank you, and you said it right.
I did?
Yes.
I finally got one thing right today. I'm so happy, and I'm happy you're here.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're back. The community has prayed for you and your family. It's good to see you. My name is Charlotte Kirst. I live in Minneapolis. I'm 84 years old. Yeah, every one of them. It's all wrinkles. I earned them. I have been with Agape Home Care for 14, 15 years, something like that. I depend on them. They are always there. I don't always call them, but when I need to call them, they reply. I have had some not terrific other places that have tried to provide services for me. And there have been a multiple of problems. Maybe one couldn't drive me anyplace and I needed to go to a doctor appointment or something. Maybe they couldn't take me to the laundromat. Maybe they didn't have insurance, so I couldn't even ride in their car to go a block. Sometimes it was just a personality thing. It was different. And some agencies I would have, multiple people. I'd have one this day, a different one the next day, another one the next day, and then Agape happened. They were the savior of all the care that I need. They've always been there. When I don't have a person to come do my care, I can call Michael Hunter, the owner of it. He'll be there. I have seen this man do my dishes. I don't ask men to do dishes. I had a worker that wasn't supposed to do the sidewalk. I was facing a $250 bill to shovel my sidewalk. And she took my shovel and she went out and did. I said, I don't want you to do that. She says, I have to. She says, plus, and I'm asking her, this is after I'd been doing it for a while, or, she had been doing it for a while. I said, okay, you've done enough. Now, come in. She said, this is fun. I haven't shoveled the sidewalk since I was a kid. I thought, oh, okay. I have to make her some hot chocolate. I can't stress enough how I rely on this agency and how they have always been there. I mean, and it's a good two-way combination, or, if I call Mr. Hunter and I say, okay, can you be here at 8 o'clock? Yeah, I'll be here at 8 o'clock. He comes at 8:15. I give him a hard time and I say, okay, next time you got to buy coffee. We can laugh. I mean, we're normal people and I can depend on him. I don't have to think twice about it. I know the help is there. His staff, well, most of the staff right now is my own grandchildren. And I have to keep telling them, this is, first of all, if you don't show up, they think I don't need the care. I do need the care. Well, Grandma, I'm going to take care of you anyway because you're my grandma. I love you. I said, well, there's a difference. Yes, love me over here, work over here. Don't take away my services. Michael needs some money. The insurance company, I'm taking care of the insurance company. I'm not asking them to do one thing or 1 minute longer than what is absolutely necessary because other people can use the service money that I don't have to use.
Thank you, Charlotte. Is there just one more thing you want to say to us, or does that pretty much capture what is in your heart?
I think the most unfair thing,
Yeah.
and it's nobody in this room, but they found a problem. It's great. They found a problem. Let's work on a solution and let's get it taken care of. Instead of taking a big paintbrush and saying everybody's corrupt, everybody's fraud. Fraud's been with us forever.
Yeah.
But it isn't any longer. We can stop it.
Thank you for those words. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Keep having coffee.
I'll
join
bring
you.
it next
I'll come there.
Okay.
Bonnie Hill, welcome to the committee.
Thank you.
And then Julius and Chanel and you guys can work your way back to the wonderful, comfortable reclining chairs. Of course, I wonder what the chairs are going to be like in that new state office building over there.
Okay.
Bonnie, welcome.
My name is Bonnie Hill. I taught school for 46 years. And now, and I'm 77, so I'm retired. My daughter now has, 2 years ago, had a severe stroke, went from being perfectly like on her own, 24 hours later, she's paralyzed and can't speak. It doesn't mean that she can't understand because most of her cognition seems to be okay, but she can't talk. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about our experience here. Julia is nonverbal due to a stroke and also has ADHD and autism, which the ADHD, because of the stroke, they can't treat really well. She had an 8-month hospitalization before her first community placement was secured, and that 8-month hospitalization was the 3rd or 4th place she'd been in already. Okay? And so then she gets in this one placement, and they started telling me to find group homes because she couldn't stay in the hospital. During that 8-month time, I found 3 locations, 2 of which were, one kind of fell through at the last minute, the other one was just didn't fit at all, and the third one, it went through, so she got moved into it. And during that time, in the first placement in a group home, she had 5 to 6 hospitalization ER visits within 2 months and 1 admission. At our last hospitalization, placement was secured at a home that was 10 minutes, or it's really only 5 minutes from me. And this was Agape with Michael Hunter. And I tell you, everything the previous person said about Michael and Agape is accurate. I am beyond angry myself because my daughter has been transferred over 10 times in the last 2 years, totally interfered with any kind of continuity. Because she's nonverbal, it takes a month to 2 months for each new place to get on the right wavelength and figure out how to communicate with her. She has had not enough support as far as using her speaking device, text devices, because she barely gets started and then she ends up somewhere else. And then they start over again and then she ends up somewhere else. And it's just been extremely frustrating. Anyway, so I will get back to her. At last hospitalization, her placement was secured at a home, Agape, that was 10 minutes from me. I'm her mom, and I'm her POA and her medical director. The owner had the knowledge, Michael, and experience to work with her, and the motivation to work with her. And we worked through the bed and rate exception, which the county sat on for 8 months, and finally got her into this particular home. And she had come from, before she was at the Agape home, she'd been in another nursing home that was extremely unsuitable, okay? And she regressed a lot. So I gotta say, Agape, within a month, she was there 2.5 months, 2 of which months they were supporting her, were not getting money for 2 of the months she was staying there. They were paying out of pocket. And they were hoping, they figured other situations had resolved within 3 months, so okay. Well, they finally got, I don't blame anybody, but they finally had to say, and this was like an ideal situation, conscientious people, they said, we suspended the payment, but they have absolutely 0 reason. They cannot give a reason which really makes me angry, because my daughter was finally on a path, and it was close enough to me. She's very dependent upon me because of the verbal situation. She's very dependent upon me. And, you know, now she might end up in St. Francis or God only knows where. Right now she's in a nursing home. The nursing home, I do have to say, is better than the other two she was in. But there still is, in a nursing home, the staffing is not high enough because of her nonverbal, her ADHD, and her autistic behaviors. She really needs more staff time than a nursing home can do. And they need different kinds of education and different kinds of understanding. And so when she moved to Agape, she finally started to begin to receive the care she needed and was happy there. Unfortunately, after 2 months of being there, well, she actually was there 2.5 months total, but 2 of the months, nobody paid them.
So Bonnie, I'm hearing your story. What's the biggest fear that you have? The system failed.
Oh, yeah.
Your daughter is now where?
She's now in a nursing home in St. Louis Park, which is like 25 or 30 minutes from my house.
Okay, let's just hold that thought right there. So she was in an ICS setting, correct?
Is that what they call the group home?
Is that what they call it? I don't know what they call it.
Well,
So
I don't know. She was in a group home that was
Is
working.
that correct? Welcome, Peter Fisher, CRS.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've
No,
only
no,
been doing
that's-
this for 2 years. The letters
No, you're good.
sometimes confuse me.
I'm realizing the timepiece, and I want to make sure we clearly understand. Your daughter now is in a nursing home.
Yeah.
And the cost of her in a nursing home far exceeds the cost of her that she was in a group home. Is that a fair assumption?
But the state's paying for it, not the county.
Okay. She's in a more restrictive environment than she was before.
Yeah.
And so, and part of that was this lack of communication that was received. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
Nobody's had a lack of communication with me. They've had a lack of communication with Michael.
That's what I wanted to get to. Lack of communication was with this Michael guy.
He's still suspended.
Okay.
It's like up until a month ago, we thought, well, it's all going to work out, and they're going to get back. That's what I want. I want her back in that house.
Got it. That's what I was going to ask you.
And it's close to me. It's high quality. She's dependent upon me. She needs me to help interpret.
It's a least restrictive alternative for your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I mean, this is the things we always talk about. Least restrictive alternative, not least restrictive environment, but least restrictive alternative,
I
right?
can't figure out why they suspended it, because it's like I used to work in nursing homes. My family's been advocating for disability since 1950, when my mother came up here to testify for my brother to be able to stay at home instead of going to Cambridge.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a new deal for me, but this is just insane. It's insane.
Thank you, Bonnie. That's just not okay.
Yeah, she actually has a bachelor's in linguistics and sociology of work, graduated with honors from the University of Minnesota. She's worked full-time. It's like, and then she went to work one day, and 2 mornings later, I get a call that says she's in the ER.
Yep.
And we need to drill through this plaque. And,
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? It's because of parents. You look back to like the Pacer Center existed because it's just for parents, activity, parents, whatever, advocacy center for educational rights. It was parents who started that, right? Parents who kept it going. You look at Antoinette Lippert was one of the moms of somebody in St. Paul who helped close down, right? I mean, so thank you for
They got the ARC going.
Yeah.
My mom was into that,
Yeah, no, the name rings.
Our whole family.
Thank you for being here, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Julius Cochran, Executive Director of New Generations, and Chanel Sell from New Generations, and then Josh Berg, come on up, and the three of you will go. Who's going to go first, Julius? You or Chanel?
I mean, I can go first, but Chanel represents her own company. She's not with New Generation.
She's not with New Generation. What's the name of your company?
Lane Home Care.
Thank you. I have New Generations LLC down here, my bad.
It's okay.
I apologize. I've made so many mistakes today.
That's all right.
Have a little grace for me, would you?
Always. Sir,
I've been gone for 7 months.
Yes, sir.
All
We're
right.
glad that you're back.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Julius, welcome.
So my name is Julius Cochran with New Generations. I really wanted to speak on today on how hard it was during the process of the prepayment review in the beginning. For us, none of us had any information, and we were all connecting with other providers and other sources trying to get information out of DHS. None of us kind of really knew what to think, but we were all, trying to plan to adapt, but we didn't have any guidance or information, So, the hardest part was the first payroll at the beginning of the month. We floated that payroll with our cash reserves, thinking that, well, we'll probably just get it back on the next one. And when that didn't happen, I started, engaging my financial institution, which is, the credit union I've been with for like 20 years. And I believe during that time, the noise of fraud was just so loud on the airwaves, and the financial institution that I've been with for 20 years wouldn't lend to me. They wouldn't give me the payroll funds that I needed, and they had a lot of questions. They wanted to know, when are you, what does DHS say? Is there any information out, or when are you guys expected to get paid? And and I said the only thing that we know is that they can hold the funds for 30 to 90 days, and then the questions went into, well, are you under investigation? And I'm like, no, like this is a state thing, and and during that time, because a lot of the financial institutions, a lot of the bankers know each other, and they all talk, and I think that they were all in a place where they were, because they didn't have any information either. They weren't lending any money, So with that, I had to go back to my staff and say, I'm sorry, I can't pay you this payroll. We hope that you stay and work until we can figure this out, But there was quite a few staff that didn't want to stay, because they needed to get paid, So it's been a struggle, without guidance this entire time, and without information on, exactly, when are we supposed to get paid? Like how are we supposed to get, it was confusing. And I wish that because if there was more guidance and leadership that came out of this, then our bankers would have more confidence in us, And then, of course, there was other options for predatory lenders that wanted weekly payments, at high interest costs, but I couldn't do that, right? And then it was, I approached other financial institutions, and without a relationship, you can't get a fast turnaround from them, So yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I was here to say, kind of share my experience and some of the issues that I encountered.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. And I was just mentioning that, that setting up that system, how was that? Why did that happen, right? I mean, we were just having that conversation here about when we gave the tools last year in order to go after the bad actors, and yet the good actors are the ones that are feeling that. And I'm sorry that was happening to you, especially on the guidance, the lack of guidance. And we'll find, this committee will find out as it county case management guidance, or is it the department guidance? Just like we're going to find out what happens to the money that hasn't been going out to people. I believe there's going to be a shift here, and so I don't like shifts. Matter of fact, I see a forecast shift coming, but that's something that hopefully we'll have time afterwards to talk about. So thank you very much for being here.
Well, just and one last thing, Senator Hoffman. You know, I just want to say that as a provider, I believe in transparency.
Yep.
Right. But you know, I also believe that we should have that guidance.
Yep.
You know. So.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Michelle Sell, thank you. I'm sorry I got your company wrong.
That's all right.
And again, I flew on Delta yesterday, and that was not a good experience. I'm kidding. That's what her other job is. So welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Senator Chair. Thank you for having me, and thank you to the committee. I will say Delta is the best, just so you know. That's a segue, but anyway, I digress. I just want to be real clear, and I'll be short because I know for our time, I still appreciate you all. But the impact, I want to talk about two things, and I wish desperately that DHS was here. I do see the OIG, but I really, really, really want them to understand that throwing around the 2-week hold as I feel, and I speak for so many other providers that were not able to be here, but I speak on behalf of them, that it is downplayed, and I want you to know that it was crippling and destabilizing to credible businesses. That it is not just 2 weeks hold for many of us. It was actually, we surprisingly were paid right before these hearings started, right? So it went from the beginning of December when you got your payment to just 2 days ago. I just want to be clear on that, okay? And that is just for some of them. So we are providers, but I often feel like I am like a part of Penn and Teller Act or Chris Angel in being a magician. We are trying to keep this afloat, because this is essential work. So it is not just the 30 days. Again, I want to remind everyone they are saying 30 to 90 days. We are hoping that they actually go through with what they say, but thus far that has not been the case. The initial communication that came out to providers, which we communicated to staff and to families that we serve, was this is a new prepayment process, and that we, with the advent of EVV, which is our electronic verification, thought and probably communicated to many caregivers, like, as long as your visits are compliant, it shows where you are, because EVV is supposed to be the savior to this fraud that we're seeing, right? Which we are doing better than the nation, by the way, on fraud. But anyway, we were communicating as providers, like, it will be okay, you'll be paid. And then they throw a wrench at us. And so now you're going back and having to beg and plead, like, I know I said this. This is the communication that was given. You're making calls, and like Julia stated, we are calling other providers. Have you heard anything? What are you getting? And there's no answer. So when they're stating that they are communicating and there's some sort of guidance going on, there was none. And I know that there was a pretty presentation yesterday, but I've yet to receive answers or responses to emails on certain things. When it comes to the CAFs, which is credible allegations of fraud holds, there's no due process. So as they were speaking on the Agape, that's not a provider I know personally, but other providers that are going through that, when the letter comes out and they're trying to speak to people about, well, what is the allegation? We can't tell you. What documentation should we provide you? We can't say that. I don't know where they think that this is being communicated, but it appears as if you will indefinitely just be on hold. And you know people cannot sustain if you can't give them answers. Most of this staff that you're working with, these are good people, and they're like, okay, can you give us an idea? Let's try to hold out with you. And the answer is no, you cannot give them an idea at this point in time. So I just want you to know how crippling that is, and how it is, with no guidance, how disabling it is for providers and the people in which we serve. And when they did state that they gave out that people have been paid now, the providers have been paid. I do want to also reiterate that you may have been paid, but there are also denials, which you need to go through. There's no guidance as to what was denied or why that is. So I just want to make that clear. It wasn't like you submitted this and that's all you got back. So you do still have staff members expecting to be paid, and maybe claims weren't paid out. And they may have a good reason, but now you're having to go through that and see what that is. So now you have to balance that as well. So I think they kind of blanketed through some of that, and I want you to know it is not that at all. It's not that. With that, I will digress and say thank you for your time.
Mr. Your Honor.
Ms. Sell, yes. Senator Abler.
Thank you. And I actually came just to listen today, but I just chatted with the department about that very thing, about not the withhold part, this whole prepayment thing, but the regular, here's some fraud, you have a credible allegation of fraud, and just go out of business now. We chatted yesterday, we have to do some more work on this. Chair Neuer, Schumacher, and Hoffman's gone, but all of us here, there has to be some due process. Absolutely. And a way to even know. Because I'm telling you, with all respect, Mr. Clark and other people that are up there, I understand your full intention. I know you're meaning well, but we're getting dolphins in the tuna net. And if you heard today, we don't have enough providers and workers as it is. And so if you took out all the fraudulent ones, we're going to have even less. But we don't want any of those, but we don't want to lose one provider who's good. And it is patently unfair to take a business that's been good all along and suddenly discover some credible allegation of fraud by some people sitting in a room somewhere, or a snitch or a whistleblower or somebody who may not even be a credible source. And we don't get to say what you did wrong, and now the last stop on the line is the Attorney General. So when you get to the Attorney General investigation, after you've sat through and got out of business almost, then you get to know. That is not okay. And just to the gentleman, I think you're the first person to mention you couldn't get a loan. And when you said predatory lenders, just my goodness, so we're going to base our system on people able to take out a predatory loan so they can lose their house over somebody so they can pay their people that work for very modest money. Anyway, so thank you. But to the department, we got to find a way around this. And particularly this thing where we're having people on, they freeze everything because they had a couple of bad claims. So anyway, thank you very much.
May I respond quickly?
Ms. Sell, yes.
With that, I think that most providers, I know it's so unfortunate because in any industry you're in, a few bad actors will make it horrible for everybody, right? So we understand that. But most of these providers are like, yes, we need to do something. We're on board. We're willing to do. We have done everything. That means you implement the EVV, even with a vendor that's not the greatest. But there has to be some sort of ability for a provider to defend themselves or respond to any sort of allegation. I may not personally be going through that, but I do know several providers that are, and there actually is no recourse for them. It is just close your doors and go out of business, and that destabilizes services and the people in the people in which they serve. So I just wanted to respond to that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ms. Sell. Representative Chernor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to get clarity, Ms. Sell. The claims cutoff, which was on the 22nd, and did you get guidance that due to the prepayment, the payment will be out on, February 10th?
Ms. Sell.
The claims cutoff, I received ours on whatever this past Monday was. I'm sorry, I don't have a calendar in front of me. So we received payment technically yesterday, but we got the RA. But the one prior to that, we have not received since the first week in December. So they cut off, remember we floated some of that, but there was no notification, and we didn't realize till later they were already putting those in suspension. Okay, so we floated that one. We floated the last one. Then we had to finally tell everyone, you need to take we have to move everything down by 30 days. And so our staff was paid January 2nd, and then just February 6th will be their next pay because we just received funds. Okay.
And for the, Mr. Noor, for the January
Mr. Cochran.
2nd, I'm sorry. For the January 2nd payment, I actually received a remittance for my ICS that said that I would. They said that they would pay me. So I actually seen the remittance and it said that it would pay, that I would be paid for that period, and I didn't get that. You know, so, you know, that's why it was so confusing. Like, I got a remittance, but, excuse me, but I'm not getting paid, you know? And there was no guidance onto that, like, well, why you got that remittance? And then when I was trying to call, you know, the provider helpline, it, obviously, you really couldn't get through because so many people were calling it, you know? So you just got that little message, you know? So, yeah, so that's why it was just so confusing. There was no guidance. There was no, you know, you're going to get paid on this day, you know, or, you know, here's the new pay calendar, you know, kind of a thing. So, and like I said, because of all that, like, you know, and the bankers were talking too, that we couldn't get no money, you know, not even with a bank that I've been for 20 years, you know, credit union. I mean, they would always, you know, that relationship always matters, but it didn't matter this time, so.
Thank you. Chair Noor. Any other questions for these testifiers? Okay, I stepped out for a minute, but I'm assuming, Mr. Berg, you are here yet to testify.
Yeah.
Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and present your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just for the record, I have written confirmation that the previous chair said I could filibuster until he returns, so. Anyway. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Josh Berg, and I am the Director of Minnesota Services and Strategic Growth at a nonprofit called Accessible Space, Inc. And I'm here today on behalf of Minnesotans with disabilities, people whose independence is not an idea, but a fragile chain of daily supports that must stay intact to allow them to live their lives as they wish. To the most urgent issue and highlighted beautifully by you, Mr. Chair, and others on this committee, continuity of care. Fraud must be stopped, but never in a way that abandons people. And we already saw the most tragic example. Someone lost in-home supports during a fraud crackdown and was found deceased. That is not theoretical harm. That is the human cost of a system that reacts first and thinks later. That is unacceptable and could have been prevented. Two stories you've heard today. I'm just going to summarize a couple. An individual lives in an ICS setting. His daily supports include med prompts, meal prep, health monitoring, community safety, prevent emergencies. His plan was fragile but stable. When payment delays hit and staffing tightened, stability vanished overnight. Missed prompts, fewer check-ins, less supervision. That's not inconvenience, that's danger. And a mom and her teenage son. Her son has complex medical needs. PCA hours cover mornings and after school, but when payments paused and schedules slipped, PCAs left. The mom faced a brutal choice: miss work and lose her job, or leave her son home without the supports that keep him safe. That's not a provider problem, that's a people problem. This is why continuity of care must be built into every pause, every withhold, every enforcement action, and every decision before services unravel. Lives depend on it. And because lives depend on it, change cannot wait. So let's turn to what unites us. Providers, counties, advocates, individuals with disabilities, and families all want stronger oversight and aggressive fraud prevention. Fraud is not victimless. It steals from the very people these programs were created to serve. But I want to be absolutely clear, the problem has never been the what. The problem is the how. Right now, Minnesota is experiencing not just new oversight tools. We are experiencing instability. And in human services, instability is dangerous. It means missed shifts, missed medications, missed meals. It means caregivers miss paychecks and leave. And it means people who cannot safely be left alone are left alone. We support fraud prevention. We support stronger screening, tighter oversight, prepayment review, and stopping improper payments before dollars go out the door. We support the quick and decisive removal of bad actors. But our support depends on conditions that cannot be optional. In fact, they're non-negotiable. Predictable systems, clear timelines, consistent communication, real stakeholder engagement, due process, and continuity of care. Oversight cannot become a weapon wielded without precision that harms the innocent while trying to catch the guilty. Yet today, too often, that is exactly what is happening. Payment delays become care delays. A caregiver who hears, "We can't promise your paycheck," cannot wait for an investigation or the process to play out. They have rent, car payments, kids. When they leave, people lose care, and it happens fast. And the harm multiplies when communication fails. Right now, there is no centralized, accurate, consistent notification system from DHS to the organizations serving the Minnesotans who need your help most. Stakeholders are forced to guess. Beyond confusion is a deeper concern: due process. Due process is not a courtesy. It is a constitutional right. When the state freezes payments, it exercises extraordinary power. Without communication, timelines, or clarity, innocent people are being harmed before the facts are known. And when extraordinary measures intended to stop or prevent fraud are intentionally and inappropriately stretched to cover licensing issues or paperwork errors, bypassing the standards established under 245D and the established checks and balances, trust erodes. That overreach must stop. And those leading these efforts must begin to understand and truly accept that these extraordinary measures, when used broadly, hurt real people like in this room today. Here are 5 steps that can be taken immediately to start fixing the how. Deliver timely, accurate, proactive communication in one centralized place. Publish clear prepayment review steps and timelines. Guarantee due process, real due process. Require continuity of care protocols and hold all parties accountable for actually carrying them out. Establish a standing stakeholder group that collaborates before policies are finalized to prevent unintended harm. Stakeholders have proven time and time again that we will come to the table and roll up our sleeves to partner with DHS in order to solve problems in real time. We are now asking that DHS matches this willingness to work together on behalf of Minnesotans who desperately rely on our success. And let me say this plainly: Minnesota can handle this. The work DHS is doing, the what, is largely the right work. But what we do not need is federal intervention. We do not need CMS disruption layered on top of a fragile environment. Minnesota's Medicaid error rate is well below the national average, and additional federal pressure threatens to destabilize the system further, right when people need stability the most. The people we serve cannot endure more pauses, more delays, more directives divorced from their lived reality. They need predictability. They need consistency, and they need a state that refuses to let process become more important than people. Because this is not just policy, this is who we are. This is about whether Minnesota protects its vulnerable citizens or allows them to be collateral damage in the name of oversight. Again, it's not the what, it's the how. So fix the how fully, urgently, and now.
Mr. Berg, thank you. Those words should be put up behind us. The how, fix the how. Representative Fisher, I'm glad you joined us in here as well, and thanks for being here. Any comments with Josh, Senator Zainab Mohammed?
It's not to Josh, but Mr. Chair, I just sort of wanted to make a few points, just because I think I want to take a moment and thank the people who've been telling their stories and the providers who do this work and the individuals who receive these services. Thank you. And thank you to the providers who do this work, and the impacts that it's had on your work has been tremendous, and we appreciate you for sharing. I also would be remiss if I sort of didn't point out how we got here in this moment. And just to be clear and to be honest, I think it's a conversation we need to have, but my Republican colleagues have raised hell all summer talking about fraud. And in the last session as well. They have been sort of talking about the issue of fraud, blaming it on certain community and scapegoating them with no real solutions. And we also have folks in Washington that cut Medicaid to pay for the funding of ICE, which has resulted in the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the terrorizing of my neighbors. You have a state agency that is reacting to the political pressures that have been created by my Republican colleagues and from the cuts from the federal government. I know that some will disagree, but I will say this. When it comes to the issue of fraud, the work is real in order to protect people. And it's complicated, it's tedious, it's hard, and it will not get 100 million views on YouTube. And I hope that we all take a notice from what happened and how it's impacting real people, and we come with solutions next session.
Thank you, members, for being here. This has been a hard day. You guys ended it well, and I would want us, as we go into the next, what is next for us. I'm remiss if I wouldn't say that 500 million, and thank you, it's 126, $20 million will be captured into the forecast, that $20 million or so. I'm concerned. In 2023, there was $1.825 billion of underspending that ended up going to the general fund. And just based on what's happening here with what you all have experienced in payment delays, that money should stay within our jurisdiction. And it's looks like the next forecast that we would have to do something early on when we get back in order to stop that from being moved into the general fund. And I'm looking at the two colleagues. We need to get together early and often. I think Senator Utke corrected me yesterday when I said 30 meetings, and you said, no, I think there's 8 or something.
We'd be meeting 5 days a week.
I know, he said that to me. So I'd like you two to consider us coming back sooner. Maybe that first day of session, we have a joint hearing and start talking about what bills need to be coming out of this. Senator Rasmussen yesterday highlighted a couple of things that I think that are worth deeper dive on. Jordan, you had mentioned that from that. And so I just wanted to say I'm grateful to each and every one of you for being here. And I absolutely am grateful that we are who we are. And thank you for pointing us to the why. And now let's get to the how. And let's get to the what's next. With that, we're adjourned.